this Wednesday, and I want to take you to the book of Job just for a moment. We know the story. We've all heard the rags to riches story about people and their lives, and maybe it was through business or lottery or inheritance, but they went from having nothing to having everything. Well, the story of Job is a riches to rags story. He was a very wealthy businessman, had everything, had multiple of everything, and God allowed Satan to take all those things away, and he lost everything. And so we know the story, we're familiar with that, but let me take you to Job chapter 41. This question that God begins to ask in chapter 41, verse 1, is the little bit of a debate going back and forth, and God is challenging Job and saying, look, where were you in the beginning? Who are you? What about me? And he starts in verse 41 with a great question. Can you draw out Leviathan with a fishhook or press down his tongue with a cord? He's talking about a dinosaur. Job, do you have the ability? Did you create the dinosaur? What ability do you have in this? And so he goes through a whole series of questions, and then he goes down to verse number 11, and God asked this question: who has first given to me that I should repay him? Whatever is under the whole heaven is mine. You know, you and I need to begin this process, and what we talked about on Monday, following up with it today, we need to be reminded that everything belongs to the Lord. My health, my mental capacity, my finances, my children, my spouse, my grandchildren, my church, everything belongs to the Lord. And so if we're going to lay up for ourselves treasures in heaven, as we talked about on Monday, and be reminded that there is a passage, remember, the kingdom of heaven is like the man that found the buried treasure, and he gave up everything in order to get something better. You and I must first begin with that heaven is better. It's better than anything I'll ever have here on earth. And in order for me to give that up, I need to be reminded what I'm truly giving up belongs to the Lord anyhow. And so ultimately, I'm not giving up anything that is mine. I'm giving up what is the Lord's to get something even better that is the Lord's, and that's heaven. And so understanding this, releasing ownership to God guarantees his blessings. It's the idea that what I have in my hand, I will hold loosely because it's not mine to begin with. I will hold it loosely and say, God, it is yours. If you choose to take this, I'm surrendering it to you. And so we manage God's accounts, and I'm just his money manager. God asked me to give the tithe. The tithe belongs to the Lord. In fact, I said on Monday from the book of Malachi, God said, you've robbed me. You've stolen from me by not giving your tithes and offerings. That 10% is the Lord's to begin with. And I'm just giving back to the Lord. And so I'm the steward, the guardian over what God has allowed me to hold in my hands. The additional 90%, it belongs to the Lord. I'm the guardian of that. I choose how I spend my money. Psalm 24, verse 1 and 2 says this: the earth is the Lord's and all that it contains, the world and those who dwell in it, for he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the rivers. Haggai, chapter 2, verse 8, the silver is mine and the gold is mine, declares the Lord. And the passages just go on and on to help us with that. The problem is, red flags should be flying all over the place when you and I start treating things like they are ours. We're gripping them tight. We own this. It's mine. I worked for this. I have this. This is what I gained from my possessions and abilities in my life. And when we grip them tightly and we claim them as our own, those red flags should be flying high. And so it brings us back to some passages from the New Testament about giving. And giving really isn't based on our income, because what the Lord asks for is 10%, or the tithe and the offering. And so it's not based on our income. We know during the last 2 years with COVID, many people lost the ability to have all the income that they used to have. They maybe lost their job. And so your income dropped, but what do? You decrease your expenses so that you can live based on what your income is. And so giving doesn't really matter how much you make, because I've heard people say, well, if I got a pay raise, if I had a little more money, if God would bless me with a pay raise, I would start tithing. No, that's a heart issue. It's not your income, it's your expenses. And so often we have more expense than our income allows. Isaiah chapter 58, verse 6 through 10, God said his willingness to answer prayer directly was connected to giving to the poor and the needy. And, when we give to the church, we're giving to be able to funnel that to those people in need. It might be children's ministry, it might be missions, it could be some outreach program, but we give to the Lord through the church for that. And, you think about heaven. The kingdom of heaven is like. Well, you and I are going to spend eternity enjoying the things that we've sent on ahead and enjoying the rewards of that. Romans chapter 2, verse 6, who will render to each person according to his deeds? God will reward you according to those deeds. Matthew 19, verse 21, if you wish to be complete, go and sell your possessions, give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Come follow me. And God just over and over again reminds us. And so here's the thing. The Bible says this, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. It's what you and I choose to put value on is where our heart goes. Our heart follows that which we treasure or value. And, why did the guy sell everything he had? Because there was something more valuable. He put his money where his mouth was. He put his actions to follow his heart. He chose something better, and his heart followed. And so I want to encourage you. There is absolutely nothing better in this earth than having a relationship with Jesus Christ, being obedient to him, and serving him. And when you choose that as your value, that which you treasure, your heart will go there. I get giving up income, tithing, giving offerings, sacrificing time and energy. Your heart may not be there. That may not be what you want to do. But when you choose to put value on those things, tithing, offerings, serving, worshiping, attending church, when you value that, your heart will begin to follow that. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And let's just face it, most of us don't do right things at times because we don't feel like it. We don't think about it. We don't have a priority on it. Our heart is not there. And so when we choose the right value, we choose the right treasures, we will find our heart following thereafter. And so it's Wednesday, tonight, Bible study, prayer time, Awana, the youth program. These are the things that we do on Wednesdays. And so let me encourage you to be a part of that. Have a great day.